Well, Mark, it's been an amazing couple of weeks for all sorts of reasons, but I guess from your point of view, the big positive is not so much what you've achieved, but the platform it gives you for moving forward.
Yeah, look, we need to get as many wins on the board as we can get. So we'll take them in any order whenever we can get them. But we certainly had a really good 7 days, especially with a few of the trips we've had in there and the challenges in regards to selection. But players have done great, and consecutive results are always important. And to get that for sort of the second time for us this season, and consecutive clean sheets in both of those winning runs is important. So we know we've got some tough games ahead, but we sit sort of third of the season through in a nice position, and everybody's contributing, which is really important for me.
Yeah, and it's a great example. You mentioned everybody contributing, and I know you've said to us a number of times that you can look at having a smaller squad in a couple of ways. One of the big benefits is that everybody, even if they're not directly involved, they're always close to being involved. And have we really seen the positives of that over the past couple of weeks?
Yes, you can still have a small squad without our spirit, but it's really hard to have our spirit with a huge squad and with too many players over. And it's also really hard to see your own players come through and have a pathway to the team. And in case in point is Ben Warman at the moment. You know, if we carry too many other players, he doesn't get his opportunity to come through, and that's what he's doing at the moment. So that's important for us, part of the bigger strategy of what we want to try and do here. But there is a togetherness that is rare. I think a lot of teams talk about having team spirit and good team spirit, but you can see through that when it's not true. We do talk about it, but more importantly, we see it every week, and we see it show itself in lots of different forms. And we need to obviously continue that and to keep building. And the side of that is that players have to continually accept when we change the team, when you're in the team and then you're out the team. But I think what we like people to know is if they're out of it, they're never too far away from being in it. And in these really busy runs of games, those opportunities come time and time again. We've got a couple of players on 4 bookings right now. Assuming the game tomorrow doesn't go to a replay, we'll have 1 blank week in a couple of weeks' time, and then we'll go another run of 3 Tuesdays on the bounce with potential cup competitions and things as well. So the season this side of Christmas doesn't settle too much, and there's going to be a lot of football to be played and a lot of players needed. And probably as we get into the next big run of games that comes up in the league, the players outside of the team will be closer than ever to being ready to go in it. You know, when they played at Doncaster last week, there were 6 weeks without a game, a lot of them. But this spell's been excellent for everybody.
Let's talk about the FA Cup. Clearly, last season fans are such a big part, aren't they, of this competition? I think there would be an argument to say that it suffered more than any competition through being played behind closed doors. This season, of course, back to how it always was, and for any club in League One, the big aim is to get to round 3, isn't it, and try and get a Premier League side.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement of the competition is what comes probably from what could be in this competition, and everyone like us starting out in the lower levels of the pyramid, if you like, the Football League pyramid, is striving for those big games and those big occasions. And everybody wants them, but a few teams can have them, and you have to win games and do well to get there. So obviously that's our intention, to see how far we can go in the competition. Can you benefit from the financial rewards from the club's perspective that can come from a run in a competition? And also, can you expose yourselves as players and coaches to levels you're not used to playing against, and really put yourself in the limelight a little bit, and test yourself in those situations that you don't face so often. So certainly what could be is the exciting thing, but what is now is a game that we have to go and be ready for against a really informed team. We played them pre-season, so we have a bit of knowledge of Northampton, and now we have to go into the game and try and back up what's been a really good week for ourselves so far, because league or cup momentum is important, and we want to try and continue that.
Yeah, with Northampton, they've had a strong start to the season, won their past 4, particularly strong defensively. Really
hard to create chances against. You know, they've had very few chances conceded in the last 4 games in the wins that they've had. Lots of clean sheets, physicality about them, some directness to their play. They share some similarities with us, I think, last year, and we know that there's some good players in there. Some of them we know well, and a game that just up the road we'll have maybe near on 1,000 supporters at the game, and we want to try and create an atmosphere in the away end with our performance and ultimately progress ourselves through to the next round. So it's a game that is worth looking forward to. And sometimes when you break from the league routine, that can be a good thing. But in the end, it's about momentum and trying to keep on a winning run if we can.
With the team news you mentioned on Tuesday, I suppose he's particularly keen to be involved given it's his former club, but you were thinking with Lloyd Jones probably best to just allow him to have some rest.
Yeah, Lloyd won't be fit for tomorrow. He won't train with us today. We'll give him those few extra days, and he'll be back in training next week. So for us, it's about getting him ready for MK Dons and that run of games that follows. And we don't need to take a risk in that situation now, because I think with all of the boys, we've done this quite well. If players have been a little tired, struggling a little bit, we know we've got players that can come in and do well. And you need to show your faith in those players by playing them, because they need to know it's genuine. If you say you're close to the team, you then got to have a chance when that chance comes. And we have to try and avoid longer term injuries where we can. So if it means missing 1 or 2 games for the benefit of a longer period, then that's what we have to do. So quite happy to go with that this weekend and make sure that Lloyd gets himself ready for next weekend.
Yeah, so that leaves us certainly in terms of the players we know about without giving too much away. So Lloyd out, Greg Taylor, Liam O'Neill, of course, but George Williams and Adam May both back after their suspensions. Yeah,
both back and available, and obviously fresh legs, which is good. I think one of the things we've done a little bit by design, but massively in terms of being forced with injuries over this run of games, the change of 3, 4, 5 players each game has given us energy, particularly the 2 midweek games. We have a real energy about us with the players that have come into the team. This week's been quite different for us, the way the week's played out. So we'll see the players today for the first time since Wednesday and see how they look and how they shape up. But we hope that we can make a couple of changes to the team from Tuesday in order to give us that freshness and energy again.
Just as a bit of housekeeping, Jensen Weir, Connor Masterson both have permission to play in this one, do they?
They do, yeah.
Yeah, with their loans. And I suppose having Adam back after his suspension, with Jensen, he's been brilliant, hasn't he, over the past couple of weeks? He's really stood up and taken steps forward. But with any young player breaking into his side, you'll also have in mind the best moment to give him a break. So to have Adam back is helpful in that respect.
Yeah, well, knowing the situation going into games, he obviously played his first game at Sheffield Wednesday. Really, Jensen was excellent. That was a big occasion, physically a big thing, mentally a big thing for him. So we left him out of the next game, knowing that he would then go into the team the following one. So that was sort of planned. And then as it happened, Adam got sent off in that next game. So it almost guaranteed him a run of games. He's played 3 on the bounce now, which is the first time he's done that. So it's brilliant for him. He's I think, physically handled that really well, but his level of performance has been excellent, as has Ben's Warman's. Again, we did the same with him. He played the Doncaster game, came out for a game, went back in. We don't want to do is burn those players too readily, and we need to get Adam up to speed. Our intention is to try to get to MK Dons with everybody fit, available and able to play in that game. So over the next couple of games, everybody will play, and we've got to make sure that we try and come out with 2 really positive results and keep everybody fit. But certainly really pleased with the 2 younger boys in the midfield area that have gone into the team and done very, very well in the last couple of weeks.
Cool, that's great for me.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good, John, thanks.
I know that he went back to Ipswich now, but just talk about what Tomasz brought to you guys in goal. It's not easy to have to adapt someone to the team knowing he's only going to be with you guys for 7 days. I know he was brought in on an emergency loan, but just talk about what Tomasz brought to the side while Dimi was recovering from his concussion.
Yeah, just experience. He's obviously got a noticeable physical presence because of his size, but he's 29. He's played probably 150 games in this league. So he just gives a confidence to people, really. He's a big figure. He's got a big voice, talks really well. And as a personality, just settled in really, really quickly. But partly, I think a lot of players do that when they come here. 1, because we try and sign characters that can adjust and are good people. And 2, because we've got a group and an environment that make it really easy to settle into. So I think his performances were good. I thought he kept a good goal in both of the games. was excellent against Wimbledon last weekend. And when we needed that little bit of experience, when we were missing some experience in the team and we'd had a tough game at Shrewsbury, it was really important that we got that in the team. So I was delighted with his performance level and what he gave the team, but also really happy for him because he was having a tough time at the moment and he's come and done well. And the big takeaway for me is how he talks about his experience here in 7 days. It's really important to me that players love being here, really want to be here. And whenever they leave in the future, they look back at their time at Cambridge as an excellent experience and one that they met lots of good people in and was one of the highlight periods of their career. I think that is important. Whether that's 7 days, 7 months, or 7 years, that's how I want people to feel about their time here.
I know that Jack has been the last few games playing out of position, playing in defense, and I know George will be back for this game. But just talk about the versatility that shows that Jack has and selflessness for him to be able to play massively out of position and still perform at a pretty high level.
Yeah, I think when you have a smaller squad, you need some players that can cover a few positions. It's fairly obvious that that's going to be the case. We know last season he played at centre-back in a trophy game for us. He played there when Greg came off injured at Plymouth. Centre midfield's a new one for him. He played there younger age groups, but not played there for us and certainly not played as that holding midfield player. So that variety is important. We know he can play left midfield and I wouldn't back against him doing a job in goal or up front because he's just that tight. Number one, he's got the qualities to be able to, he's just a good footballer. So that helps. He's a student who really wants to learn and develop his game. And I think it's come on massively in the last 12 months. And he's a character that's game and just for the team. So he'll give his best, whatever that is. And in the end, when you coach and manage, all you're asking your players is give what you've got. And he does that. And so far it's been very good.
I know that you guys played Northampton in a preseason friendly and also played them in League Two recently. Do you think that going into a cup competition, obviously sometimes when you might not play a team that you've seen for a long time, do you think having played them so recently, do you think that, I know that they'll be familiar with you guys, but do you think from your end that you'll at least be, I know they also have a different manager there now, but do you think it at least helps a little bit that you're familiar with them?
It probably helps a little bit, but the pre-season games are really hard to read too much into, I think, with selection and the way teams play. In pre-season, anyone can be at any stage of their recruitment, or you don't know what they've been working on that week or what their intention for the games are. Quite often in pre-season, the intention of the game isn't to win, it's to see something that you've been working on. So I think it's really hard to try and read too much into those games. But I think what we do know is we've seen plenty of their games now and we have an idea of how they might play and know some of the individuals within the team. So that certainly helps, but we just do our work like we have for every team. You know, we watch them thoroughly and do a lot of reporting on opposition and then try and give the players as much of that relevant information as possible that relates to how we want to play the game. So that's the intention of Friday's training session and meeting before the players leave today. And yeah, no different really to any other game.
Two more for me. First of all, do you think that bringing some young players into the midfield, I know that you had plenty of players out when you got the point at Doncaster, which seems to be, at least for this little period, maybe the turning point for you guys. Do you think it speaks to the depth of the squad and the character of the squad that you're able to go out and get the results that you did with being shorthanded against Doncaster and then coming back and keeping back-to-back clean sheets against AFC Wimbledon and Morecambe?
It does, yeah. It just shows that we've got players that can go in at sort of little notice or off the back of not too many games. So physically, they've looked after themselves in that sense. We've obviously got an understanding of what's expected when they go on the pitch, because having not played so much or not played together, they still go in and look like a well-organised team. So that's a real credit to them and the coaching staff. And yeah, it does. You know, we haven't got huge depth across the team. There's certain areas where we are definitely light of bodies, but when you've got that spirit, that real clear understanding of what's expected of you, and players that can flip into a couple of positions, that does really help. And certainly the younger players have been training with us a long time now, and they just have to be patient and wait for their chance, and they've had that and done well.
I know that you just mentioned to Peter about how Northampton plays and what you expect from them. From your perspective, what what are you guys focusing on? What do you have to do to come out there and be able to progress against them?
Well, we haven't looked too different aside for the 16 games that we've played. We might have played different systems and styles, or dominated larger spells, or defended for larger spells in some games than others. But we quite simply just have to be the best version of ourselves that we can be in the game. And I think over the course of the season, we've improved and developed in lots of areas. So all we're asking really is to be that team again, and be as clinical as we can. We're going to have to work hard to create chances against a team that have got an excellent defensive record, and we'll have to defend forward passes really well. So we'll have to do both of those things extremely well to win the game. But for us, it's about trying to keep that energy and momentum in the team that we've generated in the last week, and keep moving forward.
Cheers. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Time up. Just a couple from me, if I may. Firstly, on Lloyd Jones, obviously he misses out against his former club. How do you think he's done since you brought him in the summer?
Yeah, great. I think he's excellent. Dominant, can move, can pass, a good defender, blocks things in the box, organises a back four well, can keep you up the pitch. Is a decent first contactor, can defend both boxes. He's got to do more to score. He's had some good chances, but we're working on that, and I think that will come for him. But he's given us what I thought he would, and I think he's a really good defender, and settled into time here really well. And for him, it's a big opportunity because he needs to keep putting games together, because that's obviously been an issue for him over his career. But he's on a good number of games so far, and hopefully as the season goes on, he can really top those numbers up and really contribute towards a successful team this year.
He was obviously the first player that you brought in the summer. Was he one of the key players that you identified when you were putting together the squad for the new season?
Certainly a key position, yeah, that we wanted to add, but just, you know, the order of the signings can be down to a million things, really. It's more about when you can get them done and if you can get them done. That was one we were working on quite a long time. Myself and Ben drove down to somewhere in the southwest. I can't tell you where to meet him. It just took ages, and he was in good form, and we had a really good meeting with him, and sort of left the meeting thinking that I think he'll want to come, and built up a good rapport with him in the early stages, and I think we've got a really good relationship. And I think he's a player that at 25, 26 now, has probably not played as much as he'd have liked to in his career, but this is his opportunity to do that. And I think there's a lot more to come from him. His best years are ahead of him, and I think we've got him at exactly the right time.
With Liam Bennett as well, you obviously recalled him from his loan. What was the reasoning behind that?
Hemel had a change of manager, so everything changed at their end in terms of whether he was going to get game time and things. So he didn't play towards the end of that spell. So yeah, he'll be going out again at some point. He'll play against Stevenage on Tuesday, and then we'll look to find another loan for him to get a run of games. He was going well there, and then the manager changed and left. So as is always the case in football, everything changes quite quickly. But he's back with us now training. He'll play Tuesday, and then we'll look to facilitate another loan to get him that run of games he needs.
Just finally from me, obviously, you know Colin Calderwood probably better than most, being his assistant. Why do you think things didn't work out for Colin at
Well, things didn't work out for us. It's really easy to make one man the messiah or one man the wrong one. Things didn't work out for us for lots of reasons, and I was much as a contributor to that as anybody. So he's an absolute diamond. He's gone on to Blackpool from us and done great, and they've started the season really well, obviously at Northampton. So I spoke to him yesterday, actually, on my way to Southend for the FA Youth Cup game. So that was a good night for the youth team, obviously progressing in the Youth Cup against Southend on penalties. So we're pleased with that. And then, yeah, we had a good chat. Looking forward to seeing him on Saturday. Bags of experience. And I think off the back of Colin's reign, one of the big things that really lockdown enabled us to do was reset and restart and be really clear on what we were about. And we've had probably, I'd say, rocky couple of years, but the club's in a very stable position now, and from all the way through it, there is no politics, financially sound, brilliant ownership and leadership from the board, and that makes the job a heck of a lot easier for me. So I'm the beneficiary of a really stable period that other people didn't necessarily have that same benefit of. So I think everything's come together at the right time, and lucky me.
Cheers, Mark.